Diving into something really uh, pretty fascinating. This idea called the Tournament of Selves.
Right. It's this concept of an elimination bracket, but filled with exact copies of the same core person.
Yeah, all fighting each other. It's wild.
And it's less about, a simple game and maybe more like a philosophical laboratory setup.
Exactly. Our mission here in this deep dive is to kind of explore that structure,
Hmm.
see how it shows internal conflict, but like made external.
Hmm. And
Oh,
try to figure out what winning even means when you're basically competing against, well, yourself.
that's the real core of it, isn't it? Are we actually watching distinct beings fighting?
Or is it more like watching one single entity have a very brutal internal argument just played out?
Yeah.
Precisely. And the sources suggest it wasn't enough just to have identical copies.
Why not?
Well, because they'd all just make the same, like, optimal choices, right? No real data there.
Oh, okay.
So they built in this forced selection pressure. It formalizes that internal conflict.
Right. So it tests whether the winner is like the purest version, the essence.
Or maybe just the one that happened to be best suited for whatever kind of arbitrary rules they set up for the tournament.
Let's dig into those rules a bit, because that's what makes it real, right? What kind of constraints are we talking about?
Well, they weren't just simple game rules, points and stuff. They were designed to force really hard trade-offs.
Like what?
Things like really severe resource scarcity or tight time limits that basically demand ruthlessness.
Oof.
Yeah, or even moral paradoxes. Situations pitting like self-preservation against the good of the other copies. That's what forced the different behaviors to emerge.
And to make sure they got that variation, they used something the sources called strategic mutation.
Yes, exactly. That's kind of the evolutionary layer of the experiment.
So not random changes.
No, not waiting for chance. They immediately locked copies into these distinct behavioral archetypes.
Okay, like what archetypes?
So you'd have the diplomat, the predator, the mimic, even the altruist.
Huh. Different core strategies.
Right. It lets the system test really efficiently which fundamental way of being drawn from the original source actually dominates in the specific environment they built.
And you got to pause there for a second, right? Think about that, you listening. We all kind of have those versions inside us. In a tough meeting, who shows up? The diplomat trying to smooth things over.
Or the predator, maybe, going for the objective no matter what.
It's a useful frame.
And this brings us to maybe the most profound part, the meta layer, the consciousness question.
Meaning, what?
Meaning, what happens when the copies know? When they become aware, they share the same origin.
That changes everything.
It really does. It stops being just, a fight for resources.
Yeah.
It becomes this project of self-definition. Who am I really?
And that's where it gets, frankly, a bit chilling in the source material. It's not just survival anymore.
No, it's like an existential battle. You literally have the predator copy arguing.
Yeah, I remember this quote.
Arguing something like, I am the truth of our nature, the one you all try to suppress.
Claiming the others are just like weak adaptations hiding the core hunger. Wow.
Which takes us to the meaning of victory, the so-called crown of thorns.
If the winner is just the one who survived these specific arbitrary tests,
then the conclusion has to be that victory doesn't mean true inherent superiority. It just can't.
it just shows fitness for that specific context.
Exactly. Contextual fitness. The winner was just the version perfectly adapted, maybe by chance, maybe by its archetype, to the rules of that particular game.
So, okay, bringing this out, what does this tell us about, well, us? About the real world?
I think it shines a really bright light on something fundamental. The rules are the truth.
Meaning?
Meaning every system you're part of, your job path, your school environment, even your long-term relationships, they're all running their own version of this tournament.
Never thought of it like that.
And the rules embedded in those systems, they're constantly selecting which version of you gets to thrive, gets to win in that space.
So if your workplace rewards, say, quiet compliance,
Then the mimic version of you, or maybe the anxious perfectionist, that's the version that gets reinforced. That wins.
but if it rewards aggressive moves,
Then the strategist or the predator copy gets ahead. The rules determine the outcome.
okay, so this implies that making conscious rules, that's where the real power is, the responsibility.
Absolutely. The insight shifts the whole game. It's not about passively wondering which version of me will win out.
It becomes much more active.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
becomes, okay, what rules do I need to write for my life, for my environment, so that the version of me I actually want to be, the one I aspire to, can win?
The ability to change the game itself, that's powerful.
This is the freedom this whole framework points towards, I think.
And just wrapping up, there's kind of tragic element here too, isn't there? About growth.
Yeah, the sources touch on that. Consciousness, wisdom. It seems like it's often bought with the death of innocence, doesn't it?
You build who you are today on the wreckage of the versions you couldn't be anymore. The ones that didn't win.
The ones you couldn't afford to be, perhaps. It's quite poignant.
So, the final thought for you listening. You're holding the pen now. You get to write or rewrite the rules for your own life's tournaments.
What kind of system, what kind of structure, what version of yourself will you choose to build? What will you enable to win?